No, I didn't have anything together as a kid. Um, so first off, I'm the son of a 15-year-old mom, right? So
Mm.
I was born in Dorchester, Massachusetts. My mom had just turned 15 when she had me. My dad was 17. And so I had very young parents who were also growing up at the same time they were trying to raise me. And my life was chaotic because their lives were still trying to figure out what their establishments were going to be. My dad was a Marine for the first few years of my life, and then he was injured, so he fell out due to medical. And then being young parents, their lives went in separate directions because they kind of grew apart. You know, being that teenagers at that point. Um, mom was finishing up high school while I was still in diapers, and then she went on and she was working 3, 4 jobs where she was delivering newspapers at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to a full-time job during the daytime, and at night she would be a, uh, a waitress at a restaurant. And so it was very, I had to grow up real quick and to take care of my younger brother. And then my mom would start going to school, and next thing you know, I'm helping her get her degrees and helping her through paralegal school, being that 9-year-old running around Boston Public Library and helping her grab these law books and whatnot. And then she was always trying to give us that better life and growing into. So she always taught me the value of time and the value of work ethic. And so that's one big thing I learned from her. But was I organized? Absolutely not. Was I structured? No. Goal oriented? Not so much. But I always had 2 or 3 jobs, and when I got into my teenage years, and then life just kind of got better, and as I matured more, and as I developed my own family and my own structure, the military definitely helped me out with kind of organizing and goal centric, and thinking about my troops and my family really kind of helped me kind of drive my ambitions towards helping out them, as well as coincidentally helping myself out at the same time.
So you mentioned that your parents were not together. Was that fairly young in your life, or was it kind of later on where um,
Uh,
they went their separate
yeah,
ways?
yeah, they divorced it when I was 4.
Okay, so
So it
fairly
was,
young.
yeah, yeah, and dad was always part of my life every other weekend, and um, kind of grew into, it's grown into more than that over the years, and we have a great relationship. We still talk on a weekly basis. I have a you know impromptu phone call every Sunday night in the back of my head. Hey, I got to call my dad as I'm going from here to there, and I just get on the phone with him, and we just play catch up. And he lives in New York City, and so I take my kids down there to go see him every now and again. Um, he's a much better grandfather than he was a father, and that's cool because he's at a point in his life where he can have that time and that focus for his grandchildren. And so they have more conversations with him on a weekly basis than I do, which is great. Um, and then mom is good. Mom remarried about 16, 17 years later, and she ended up having 4 more children, and so there's 5 more children. So there's 7 of us total now.
Wow.
Um, and that's been a lot more challenging because she started raising more children when I got married and started having my own family. So she and I are both raising families at the same time,
Mm.
and so she's still playing mom and hasn't really had the chance to put the grandmother hat on. But she's at that stage now that my younger brothers and sisters are starting to move out of the house or getting into their professional careers. But don't falter for any of that. That's the challenges of having a mom that's just 15 years older than you. So
That's an interesting dynamic. I can almost see you like raising your kids and also like going over, or her kids coming over. So like your dad to like multiple kids in a way, or like an uncle, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the joke is, I'm mentoring them or trying to take care of them. I helped one of my younger brothers get a job at Raytheon after he graduated from UMass Lowell, and he's thriving in his career. And so he and I talk every few days now. I try not to be involved with his day-to-day aspects because we're in the same department, and I really want to guide him and trust him to fly on his own, kind of like a baby bird. Push them off the branches and hope that they're going to flap their wings and fly on their own. And so that I felt like if I called him every single day and guided him through his day-to-day job, just because it's the IT industry, something I've been doing for 25 years, he wouldn't really know what it's like on his own. So I just talk to him occasionally and guide him through whatever he's dealing with. But couldn't be more proud of what he's doing and everything he's doing on his own at this point.
Man, so mentor, father to three, you got your career going, military, as well as your own business. So
Mm-hmm.
a question that kind of came up as you were talking about your life was that, people that come from a home where the parents aren't necessarily together don't always end up being as successful as you have been and been able to achieve the things that you have. What do you think, what's different about your parents and you as a person that allowed you to in a way have this separation going on in your life but still be able to achieve a lot of the things that you have achieved? Like what played a role in that?
I'll give all the credit for my mom. My mom was really tough. Living in Dorchester back in the 1970s, 70s, and 80s was a tough time frame. She lost both my grandparents to cancer. Her mom before I was born, and then her dad just about 3 years after I was born. So she had to grow up quick, and she had older sisters that didn't think that she was going to be able to do it, and so she had to prove them wrong. And so I was the test bed. I had to prove that my mom knew what she was doing. And even though she made a ton of mistakes, she always made sure that there was food on the table. She always made sure that there was clothes on my back. And even though she might have been tired, she was well engaged with my education. And I remember, man, just sitting at the coffee table in the middle of the night when my mom would get home from work after working like 15, 16-hour days, and she would sit there and she'd start quizzing me on my spelling test just so that I would be ready for that test the next day. So she kind of harped on me. She wanted to make sure that, I was the oldest grandchild. I was the oldest nephew. I was the firstborn out of the entire family of her generation. And she had something to prove, and she was going to prove it. And so harder on me than anybody else in the entire family. But I give her the credit because she really prepared me. She prepared me for the rest of life. And I joke because when I went into the military, and you have these military training instructors like, an inch from your face and yelling and screaming in your face to break you down and build you back up. In the inside, I laugh because there's nobody tougher than my mom, and and so she had prepared me to listen, to always never settle for status quo or normalcy. Always to exceed and excel, and work hard. So I give all my credit to my mom.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to see that. It almost like, I don't want to say the pressure, but you kind of mentioned that your mom had something to prove. So I'm sure that from your end, you also wanted to make her proud, and not only that, but show people like my mom is doing a good job. And I'm sure that also pushed you to excel as well.
When I was younger, I didn't realize that though, Manny. And it's not until I became a dad. It's not until I became I took a step backwards and I looked at the bigger picture and I said, here's a woman who was 25 years old raising a 10-year-old, right? Um, and so if we think about our 20s and how we're out, I mean, we're trying to make friends and we're trying to start our careers and we're trying to find out who we are as an adult. My mom was already an adult for 10 years and raising somebody, so I didn't see that. I just saw somebody who was very hard on me, and I didn't understand the why until I probably into my 30s, to be honest. And to the point where she still feels guilty, and I talk to her every few months about it, this specific topic, just saying, listen, I don't hold anything against you. I love you. You did the best job you could as a 15-year-old mom, as a 30-year-old mother of a teenager, as now a 60-year-old mom of 7. So I don't fault her for anything, and I basically in a way I have forgiven her for all the hardness that she put me through, um, because I am a strong adult. I am taking care of my family. I am doing the best job that I can because she helped shaped and mold me to that person.